years this year, serving the Blue Water area. We're a business organization. We support businesses by promoting them through advocacy, education, and assistance. So our TechSoup Nerds program fits into that education piece. We have several other of our members that are starting to offer more of these types of either sunrise seminars, we call them, in the morning, or lunch and learns in the afternoon. And they're free to members and only $10 for non-members. So just educational pieces to help the business community during some of these challenging times. So welcome, and if you have any questions, you can feel free to stop and see me. I'm Vicki Lesworth.
That's Vicki. I was going to say, I'm going to introduce
Vicki
her.
Lesworth, born here. I've got to get used to saying that.
Oh,
yeah. So, thank you, and welcome.
Yeah. While we're doing that, I guess we'll go around the room and introduce you guys. You want to tell us who you are? Some of us know you.
I'm Janet. Was I in your first
A+ certification class at the college, yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 97, 98.
Making me feel old.
Great for my career. It was a really good career move, and got me employed and doing well ever since.
You're up.
Dan Gill, retired from the Coast Guard, going to SC4.
Okay.
And her boyfriend. That's why I'm here.
Oh, so did you drive? Are you her chauffeur too, or what?
I explained to him how I knew you. And it would be good. He'd learn something. He's in CIS. He's going to graduate. He's got one more class.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. Now, do you know any of these guys? Because they've been taking classes and stuff too. Yeah, okay. It's all in the family here. So. All right. Go around next.
I'm Jaley from the Sarnia Chamber of Commerce and information coordinator. I'm here to learn.
You're here to learn. Awesome. Me too. All right. Well, we're going to get started. Do you want to try to kill the lights and see if that's going to work here, or we can leave them on? It's a little dim on the screen, but we're learning here too. So, my name is David Everett with Nerds on Site, and I'm just going to tell you that we're going to be doing a series of these monthly. So once a month we'll be doing a different topic to do with technology, and kind of learning as we go. This is kind of new to us as far as doing these kinds of things. Like Janet said, I used to be an instructor at the college, and it wasn't because I set out to be an instructor. I kind of got corralled into doing that. And after a couple of years, learned that I'm really not cut out to be an instructor. I love the hands-on part of it. I wasn't good at the lecturing part, so I've tried to learn that skill, and it's part of why we're here. So, yeah, we're delivering the content, but we're also learning too, and we're learning how to do all this stuff. So, like that. If it's not perfect, we're kind of new at doing this too. So, we're going to get into the topic today. Is basically talking about the different types of IT support, what we call break fix, and that's what I grew up doing, and most IT companies do. When we talk about break fix, what does that really mean? And it's just in the old days, we had a retail store. We would build computers and sell them, take them out and install them, and then walk away and wish the client a happy day, and call me when something breaks, and we'll come and fix it. And that's, to this day, how most IT companies operate. They sit by the phone waiting for their clients to have some kind of disaster, and that's where they make their money, going out and dealing with those disasters. So, managed services, and look at there's my first mistake. I didn't capitalize manage, but you didn't notice that, did you? Managed services is a whole different philosophy on how to do IT support. It's completely preventive maintenance. It's doing all the kinds of things to avoid the disasters. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and we'll get into that right now. Before we do that, I just want to introduce the rest of the guys, and we'll talk a little bit about our company. Just John Lessick over here. Raise your hand, John, so they know who you are. John's been with us for 5 years, I think, with Nerds on Site. Will you tell them a little bit about yourself?
I started out doing computers back in 1982. I did it on the side from then up to about 5 years ago when I went to my company with Nerds on Site, and haven't regretted it since. whole team of people before David will tell you he did the same thing. Before that, it was just what I knew I could bring to my clients, and now I have a whole team of guys that have expertise in everything that has to do with Nerds on Site. I think you may have mentioned that we almost 500 guys now worldwide, 10 countries, and we got guys, like I said, expertise in everything to do with computers.
So what did you used to do before you came to Nerds on Site?
I drove a truck mainly, and was doing the computers on the side.
And you were humping shingles up on roofs, weren't you?
I love my new job.
Jason, next.
I'm Jason Hood. I've been a nerd, official nerd, for just a little over a year now. Probably always been somewhat of a nerd, taking toys and computers. So before Nerds on Site, I was actually in management for body shops and dealerships, large body shops. As part of that, the manager was responsible to keep the computers and the business running. And unfortunately, there was a lot of break fix stuff, and I've seen that break fix over a long period of time. The managed services stuff just makes so much more sense in the long run. It would have made me a better manager doing things back then, because I would have been fixing computers. I could have spent more time taking care of the business. So this is a neat topic and near and dear.
All right, and next, our newest nerd here in town is Dave Bourne.
Student at SC4, just about ready to graduate like these guys. Joined Nerds on Site. Like I said, I'm new with them. And it's a great opportunity to learn from these guys. These guys know what they're doing. And I enjoy being part of this company because it's a worldwide company. It has a lot of resources. And they're a great bunch of guys. I just love it.
Thank you. All right, so quick little 60-second commercial about who is Nerds on Site, what we're all about. And these guys alluded to, we're all independent contractors. So we've all come from different backgrounds, obviously with interest in computers at some point. And we kind of work almost like an independent insurance agent, if you will. We're each our own businesses, but we share branding and resources. And really the key things, we work together as a team. So we're able to leverage everybody's expertise and deliver that expertise to the client. So an example of that, I've evolved over the years from someone who's pretty much non-technical anymore. I got tired of trying to keep up with all that, and I'm more business focused and sales focused, and then I get the nerds that I need to deliver what the client needs to work on the team, and that's kind of handpicked for each client. So your company might have a Linux server. We got a Linux guy that handles that for me, so I don't have to try to know everything anymore. But everybody kind of specializes in their own thing, and then they leverage each other to deliver. So we have a whole team that does nothing but web development and hosting, software development, networking, you name it. We've got guys that's their specialty. So that's kind of how we operate. Like John said, we're in 10 countries now around the world, mostly U.S., Canada, South Africa, Australia. The rest of them are, emerging and kind of growing, but those are the main ones. We're in Mexico, we're in London, England. So like our Windows server specialist, the guy I use for all my clients' Windows servers, is in London, England. So he's doing all that work remotely, and that's kind of how we operate. So we share branding, we share those kinds of resources. Our whole business runs online. So these days I hardly use my laptop anymore. I run my whole company from an iPad pretty much. So the whole world of remote tools has really changed how we do business. So that's a little bit about us. We have an 800 number that if anybody needs help, they call that 800 number. It goes to a call center and it dispatches wherever the nerd is that needs to help those people. So it's kind of how we operate. Standing ovation for the local nerds. That's my lame attempt at PowerPoint. So I'm going to give you a typical scenario here. This is what you may be familiar with in most companies are. You get a phone call, hello, ABC Computer Repair, how may I help you? Well, this is Mark from XYZ Incorporated. My server's down. Can you get some over here ASAP? Well, Mark, let me check our schedule and call you right back. call me back. We can't do anything here until the server's back up and running. I'm losing money here. I need someone over here now. So have any of you experienced that scenario? I mean, I don't know if your company, that's how you do things. I know these guys have been there. I spent 14 years of my career living that scenario, waiting for that call, hoping that when that call comes, I'm not already at another client. And they don't, two people want me to be somewhere at the same time, because everybody's emergency is always the most important one, and you got to decide where to go and all that. So it just wasn't good. It wasn't good for me. It was very high stress for years and years, and I just knew there had to be a better way of doing this for everybody. So that's what we're going to talk about today, managed services. That's the world of break fix. That's the world I will never go back to, and I highly recommend businesses don't operate in that break fix world either. So what we're going to talk about today is, how do we get out of that? How do we get to a different point and find a new way of dealing with, computer problems and security and all those things that you worry about as a business owner or working for a company. And what I really want to get to today, kind of the main point of this whole thing, is how do you determine what your downtime costs? This is the most critical part that most businesses don't want to think about. They don't take the time to understand it, and because of that, they don't make good business decisions on how they handle their IT. And we see it over and over and over. So one of the ways we do that is we have a couple little tools, and this is actually an older tool. Get that out of the way. An older tool that we've now replaced, but it'll give you an example. And I can pass, I've got a copy of this. It may be a little hard to see. I'll pass it around if you want to take a look at it. But basically what we do, we go into a company and we say, all right, whatever they call us out for, we're looking at replacing stuff or fixing something or whatever, and we try to get them to stop and look at, I ask them a question, what does it cost you when you have downtime? And they look at me like the deer in the headlights. Well, it depends on whose computer's broke. If it's Joe out there, I pay him $8 an hour, so it costs me $8 an hour. Well, not even close, okay? So we try to look at this and help the business owner understand what is it really costing you when something is broken or down and the people aren't using the technology they build. So in this example, I'll walk you through. We go in, ask them what's your gross revenue for the company. I just threw in random numbers here, and they probably won't make much sense, but just to give you an idea. So an organization doing $1.5 million in gross revenue. They have 15 clients on the network, so 15 computers per se. One server at that location, okay? And as we walk through this little tool, it'll kind of help build the scenario of where they're at. In step two, we're asking them, how many vendors do you deal with? So they start thinking, okay, well, I have a phone company that I have my phones through. I have an internet provider. I may have a web development company or a hosting company hosting our website. Maybe somebody's doing our email. There's probably a lot more than that. You probably have a software vendor that you're paying for your main line of business software. So try to list all those vendors that you have to deal with. If the internet goes down, who do you call? Those kinds of things. And randomly, it's usually a lot more than 4, but I just pick 4 as an even number. And then how many hours a day or how many people spend?
Welcome to GoToMeeting, online meetings made easy.
Whoever that is.
There are 2 other callers on the call.
Time spent on that. And then what does that person pay that's doing that? And again, these are ballparks just to try to get an idea. Same thing with IT, how much time spent for that IT person who's normally in most businesses has another job but gets the hat of you're the computer person too. So how much time are they spending running around dealing with, my email doesn't work or I can't get this to load or whatever it is. And what are they paid to do that? And then we look at trying to get the business owner, and this is the hardest thing, to sit down and give true answers to how much downtime do you experience. I mean, think about the last year. I like to go back 2 years and really think about how much downtime is there. Now, this is real general. Email services a month, how much is it down? Well, typically they'll fire off an answer, oh, my email's never been down this month or last month. I'm like, okay, go back a couple of years, and I'm not talking about just has it been down, but Jane over there, her email doesn't work. Whatever the reason, there's a virus, there's something else. How much downtime is spent on email not working? And you know, really, if they understand that this is their benefit to give true answers here, a lot of times they won't give us true answers. So I just tell them, you figure it out. But and then look at everything: internet connection, server, desktops. That's probably the more critical one. And again, not just the computer was down and broken, I had to take it in and get it fixed, but how many times is the thing locked up and we spent 10 minutes rebooting it and someone's sitting there unproductive? So get a real idea, try to get in your mind, and it's not easy to do, but what kind of downtime do you have? And we plug that in to the scenario here. And the next one is kind of critical. Figure out the average cost, the average salary per employee. And that's including benefits and days off, sick days, and whatever else goes along with that. In the entire company, what is that average salary? So we know what your payroll is. We know, guesstimating how many hours average employees put in. And what you get there, the critical number that we're coming up with here is that $48 an hour is what each employee is contributing to that gross profit for the company. And I'll have business owners immediately go, oh, that's ridiculous because, Sam over here is our salesman and he brings in all the money. And that's what we're talking about is if you have employees that are doing some function in your company and obviously they're valued people to you or you wouldn't be hiring them, they are contributing to that gross revenue in some way. It may not be direct, it may be roundabout, but on average, the business owner needs to start looking at that number when they talk about downtime. And a lot of that is lost potential revenue, okay? So again, they get a little funky about that. Well, it's not a real number, but it is. Because I guarantee you, when you have downtime and people are sitting around being unproductive, that is a real number that's coming out of the business owner's pocket one way or the other. They just had never thought of it and put it down on paper and realize it. What I try to get them to do is keep that number in your mind so you start to make better decisions on this stuff. The best example I can tell you is I go into companies all the time where the business owner has the best computer and it's the newest and the fastest and all the gadgets, and the people out doing the work have a piece of junk that takes them 10 minutes to boot up, but they don't care because their computer's great. But he's paying that number when he's forcing people to put up with stuff that's inefficient. So that number is huge, and you'll start to see why here. The last step is, start to figure out what your IT costs are. Again, I'm just throwing in random numbers here, but typically what do you spend a year, replacing computers, buying software support, antivirus software, whatever it is on IT stuff, printers and all that kind of stuff. What do you typically spend in-house to do that right now? And then what are your outside external costs? You're bringing in someone to fix a computer, replace a hard drive, whatever it is. You're buying, software support, or you're calling to get help on something. So try to come up with what are your annual costs right now, the way you're doing things for IT. And then what we compare that to is for managed services, and again, this is just a random number I threw in there that's pretty high. All these other ones I threw in are pretty low, so it's kind of skewed, but it gives you the point. We come in and say, we're going to take that all off your plate. We're going to come in, we're going to take care of the computers, we're going to do all the updates, we're going to do your backups, we're going to test everything. If something goes wrong, Windows blows up, it needs to be reinstalled, we're going to come out and take that off your plate. We're your IT department, okay? And so Janet quits worrying about going out and helping people with their email or calling Comcast when the internet's done. We're taking all that off your plate. We're your IT department. We're going to charge you a flat rate fee per month to do all that. And then what we end up looking at here is on the right, you'll see this is what it's costing you right now to do things the way you're doing, $40,000 a year. And again, business owners, because of that $25,000 number, will freak out and say, oh, I don't spend that. But it's because they're not factoring some of that in. And we're saying, we're going to cost you $36,000 a year, still save you $5,000, take it all off your plate, make the business more productive, all your employees happier, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you're still actually saving money. So that's kind of an idea of why managed services works. Now again, all these numbers would be exact on the data that you give us and whatever level of a managed service contract we would come up with. So just an idea, something to think about. So we talked about most business owners I run into give me this line. Well, everything's working fine. Why mess with it? Okay. Computers are 6 years old, but I haven't had any problems with them, so I'm just going to keep running them until they die. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, using that last example, that company and that $48 rounded up to $50 an hour per employee, I pose that question. Does it really make sense to you, Mr. Business Owner, thinking about that number now, to have your employees using a very slow and efficient computer? Dealing with all the stuff that happens all the time with, you know, I don't know about you, if you're ever stuck with, in that scenario, using an old crappy computer, it's frustrating at best. It demoralizes the employees. They just, you know, they turn it on, they go get a cup of coffee, they do whatever. They're not utilizing their skills because they're stuck with a piece of technology that's not keeping up, really. Some of the other things to think about, the interruptions of your daily routine, just email, for instance. I'm trying to send an email, it won't send, I got to go ask somebody. So now it's not just your time wasted, but you're going in interrupting another employee, asking them to come and help you. Now they're interrupted. And I forget the studies, but we did that one time. We looked at, for every like 15 minutes that you interrupt somebody from their job, it's killing really an hour for them to get back into what they were doing and become efficient again. So it's an extreme waste of time and resources. But the most important of all is, what's it doing to your client? Again, they don't put this together very often, but if your employees are frustrated and they're using inadequate equipment and they're on the phone or they're whatever they're doing with the client interaction, typically that's going to suffer too. So if your company's not efficient, if your people aren't happy and efficient, your clients are going to get a less experience than they would, and then possibly cost you business. So the next thing we kind of get all the time, and I get this personally quite a bit with clients, is, well, geez, we're starting to grow. You know, we've added some employees. We've got more computers than we used to have. You know, should I be hiring my own IT person? So we typically transition from, we give that hat to somebody and we make them handle it, and now, geez, they're so busy they can't keep up, and you know, they're not getting their work done. We really need to probably hire our own in-house IT person. And I'm here to tell you that's the worst thing you could ever do. I know sometimes outsourcing has become a bad word around here. Just you know, in our country these days, everybody thinks of everything going to a different country, but and we get that sometimes ourselves because we have a presence worldwide. But hiring an IT person is great. People love it because they think, I've got my guy, they're kind of in my back pocket, they're right there ready when something goes wrong. I don't have to worry, I know I got a guy that can come in and handle it. And that used to be a, you know, pretty good way of doing things. Except that person usually, once you hire them, they quit learning. They only learn, they only know what's in their environment. So typically they don't keep up with the latest and greatest technology. What I see mostly is they end up getting things running pretty well. If they're a dedicated IT person, they spend quite a bit of their time trying to look busy and not let the bosses know that they really don't have as much to do as the boss maybe thinks they do. So there's a lot of reasons why outsourcing your IT support to anybody, I mean not just us, but another company, makes a lot of sense. First of all, you know, you're not paying all the benefits associated with having a person on staff, vacations, sick time, all that stuff. Our unique situation is great because if I want to take a week off, I got these guys that can cover my clients. So we incorporate them. They know my clients. I know their clients. We back each other up that way. And plus we have a remote team that can do a lot of that too. So you don't have to worry about sick days. You don't have to worry about the company's technology expertise is in one person's brain. You know, they get hit by a bus tomorrow. Now what do? We're starting over trying to hire a new guy. So a lot of those things are eliminated by outsourcing and letting somebody else just take over your IT. We're very scalable. So if, you know, if the company grows and I ran into this many times in my career where companies outgrew me. They just, started growing so much and started adding new technology that I couldn't keep up with, and I would lose them. They'd go out and hire somebody else. I didn't have the expertise. So we don't have that problem now. We've got people that we tap when they grow. We're ready for it. So that's no longer a problem. And the other thing is the solutions that are out there are changing. You know this daily, hourly. It's impossible to keep up with this stuff. So we really have an advantage over our competition in that we have literally hundreds of guys out there trying new products, testing, letting me know what works and what doesn't. So it's not just in my previous days with my company. I mean, I would hook up with different vendors. There'd be an antivirus company, and I'd become a reseller, and that's all I would sell because that's what I knew. I had one relationship with one company, and that's what I pushed on people because that's what I knew. With us, we're trying all of this stuff out there, and we promote what works, what gives the best results, what companies give us the best support. So it's collectively all of us keeping up and helping each other keep up with stuff. So it's a big advantage. I will say too that we're not tied to any one vendor or software company. We've had many of them want us to be exclusive, Dell and different people, and we just won't do that. Talking about getting your money's worth out of what you have, the investment you have right now in your technology and your infrastructure at your company. We see quite a bit of people buy stuff, use it, not really fully leverage what they have, what they've invested. And in a lot of areas, the maintenance end of it's a big part of that. They'll buy something, put it in, never, take it apart, blow it out, keep it clean, and just run it till it dies kind of mentality. So I don't know if you remember the old Fram oil commercials, you can pay me now or you can pay me later. It was, the idea of, geez, put in a good oil filter. If you don't, you can hire me later to rebuild your motor. It's the same with your technology. I mean, computers, all this stuff, printers, routers, all these things do need maintenance. They need to be kept up to date. They need to be taken apart and cleaned. Not a lot, but there's some maintenance to keep things functioning and running. So that's the first thing I would tell you is just if you're not doing any of that right now in your company, you made an investment in whatever servers, computers, take care of the stuff. It'll be much more reliable, and you get your money out of it if you do a little preventive maintenance with them. So number one is the big dust. I started my business cleaning computers, take them apart, blow the dust out of, get the dust out of the fans, the motherboard. The dust lays in there, traps the heat, causes things to get brittle and components to fail. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but computers these days are just not built to last like they were. So you're going to see the life cycle of computers has changed quite a bit, and they just don't last, but you still need to maintain them. This is probably, for me personally anyway, my biggest goal with the clients is trying to be a partner to them, not just a vendor, not just the computer, the IT guy, but how can I make a difference in your business to make you more competitive, to make your business grow, so in turn my business will grow. Again, years back in the way I used to do things with a computer store, it was just a completely different mentality. Right now, I only see value in myself if I can make your business better by being a true partner to you. So the best way that I know of to do that is to be as lean and efficient as possible in your entire business process. So we have truly evolved into, from the computer guy fixing your computer to business consultants. That's what we come in and try to see, where can technology help make your business better. So I want to make it more pleasurable. We call it the 3 Ps. We try to make using technology more pleasurable, make it more profitable for sure. I mean, the bottom line is ultimately, and I'm forgetting, what's the 3rd P? I just lost it. You guys should know this. I just said that. Pleasurable, productive, and profitable. The stuff you're using to make your employees more productive, which then leads to be more profitable. So, but the efficiency is what we're after. Is having computers that are working, functioning, they're useful tools. so that your employees can benefit from that, and ultimately the business owner does too. So I would ask you to think about any of the experience, whether it's shopping or customer service, whatever you've had where you've had just an awesome experience that you will never forget. Has anybody had that? I know we've all had bad experiences that you will never forget, but have you ever had that wow, like, man, these guys are really on the ball? Anybody? Is this world really that bad that no one's had a good customer?
That was me, but.
You would hope, right?
Yeah.
Well, some of the ones that jump out at me was a hotel. When traveling, stayed at a hotel. Now, there's been numerous times you get there, you're tired, you go to check in, you stay in line. And this happened once to me. I get there, I'm like, oh, the last thing I want to do is stand here in line. I'm so tired. And out comes a little girl with an iPad, and she comes up and starts helping. I think got 4 people at the desk checking people in, but she comes out with the iPad, and now she's checking the people that are in line in. So I was checked in before I ever even got halfway up the line, and I thought, wow, that is pretty cool. I will always remember that hotel. I will seek them out whenever I'm traveling. Car dealerships, you know, they all have different things, but these days most of them are doing a pretty good job. I had one recently where I had to get a check-up done and some work done, and they emailed me and said, nope, don't bring it in. We don't have that part. We got to order it. I'll let you know when it comes in. Don't waste your time. I had an appointment scheduled. So restaurants are another one that will go either way. I'm going to tell you about the one that, the last point here, the other way to stand out with your competition is to have a bad experience that people will never forget you for. And I had a restaurant that I went to that was awesome. Beautiful, beautiful environment, just a great looking place. The service was awesome. The people waited on me. It couldn't have been better. The food was great. I just thought this place is amazing. And I was at lunch, and I had someplace to be soon, and I was done, ready to pay my bill. Gave the waitress my credit card. She comes back and said, point of sale system's down right now. Can't process the credit cards. You're going to have to pay with cash. And I went, ooh, that's a problem. I don't carry much cash. I pay everything with a credit card. So that's not going to work. She's like, oh. So she kind of got mad at me. And she went away and she came back and said, no, you're going to have to pay with cash. You're just going to have to wait. I'm like, well, how long do you think I'm going to wait? I don't know. We called our computer guy. I'm not sure when he's going to get here. So I'm sitting back going, so you think I'm going to sit here and wait? I have an appointment. I'm going to leave. You can't take my money. That's a problem for you, not for me. You know, I mean, really, what do you want me to do? You don't have another credit card machine that you could use to take my money? Well, by this time, the whole restaurant is starting to, you know, I mean, they're freaking out because everybody's getting ready to pay and leave and no, they can't take anybody's money. So the great experience I had right up to that point completely reversed, and I will never forget that experience. So the point we're trying to make here is anything you can do in your company to make a streamlined, excellent, wow situation is how you're going to stand out, and using technology needs to be part of that discussion. And again, many business owners just don't think that way. So how do we get there? I mean, well, again, most companies operate in this break fix. How do we get out of that? How do we get to a managed service environment that takes off the stress off your employees and makes things run better and smoother? And this is how we do it. I mean, there's many companies out there doing managed services, how we go about it. We call it the 3 N's. We start with the needs assessment. First, we start with just a conversation. I mean, the first thing we do is go sit down with the company and say, you know, give me 15 minutes. Let me tell you kind of what I've done today, how we operate as a company. If you think that sounds good and that's kind of what you want to do, then this is how we go about it. We do a needs assessment. And this is changing all the time. We've got much better ways now, some new tools we've just recently come up with, how we go in and find out what is your as-is kind of situation right now with your technology. You know, what kind of computers, what kind of servers, how are you doing things? We really look at your whole business process. So, you know, what is that computer? Who's using it? We interview those people. We find out, you know, what's their day-to-day life like using that piece of technology. So we come up with, you know, this is the way things are right now. And then we meet with the business owner, and we've kind of gathered that information from the users, because they'll tell us things they won't tell the business owner, like this computer really stinks. You know, if I had a decent computer, I could get things done. and we sit down with them and say, okay, this is how it is now. What do you envision? Is there something out there? Is there new technology? Is there anything that you know of that can make your business better? And then we combine, put our heads together and see with, how should things be here? I mean, what's the Disneyland experience if everything was in a perfect world? What would that look like? And then the next step is, how do we get there? This is where you're at. This is where you want to be. We call that the normalization, kind of the second step where we come back with a proposal and say, here's the hardware, the software, the support, whatever, to get you to where you want to be. And this is what it's going to take. So that's kind of your quote on the proposal of what you need to purchase or whatever to get there. For us, it's how do we get you to a certified network environment that things are running properly. Everything that we can do is put in place to keep it that way. So like examples, maybe you're running off a power strip like I am today, which drives me nuts. Okay, you should be on a UPS, a battery backup with a power filtering, power protection on it. So all those little things, what kind of antivirus? Are you using something cheap just because it's cheap, or you need to be using something that works? So we look at all that stuff, and for us, it's all geared to how can we get you to where we can do the last step, which is our Nerd Care. We call everything's nerd with us. Our Nerd Care managed service. We got to get you to a level where things are working correctly before we can do that, and that's what we look at in that normalization step. So we would come and we'd say, Mr. XYZ, here's what you need to do. You got to have, maybe those servers old. It's got to be replaced. You got to have better antivirus. You need power protection. These are the things you need to do. And if you agree to that, then once all that's in place, then we talk about Nerd Care. How do we keep it running? And for us, there's different levels of Nerd Care. It's customized for every company, but basically it's kind of 3 different plans. We start out with monitoring and patching, we call it. And it's software that we put on every computer and on the server, so we monitor the health of all the equipment. And so as an example, we'll know, we'll have set thresholds for how much memory the machine should be running when it's running normally, what's the CPU usage, how full is the hard drive. So if any of those things change and they get out of bounds, we'll get an alert. So the greatest example I've had from this is I'll get an alert saying, oh, John's CPU has been pegged at 90% for like 4 hours. I can tell you right now, that's a virus. He's picked up a virus. The virus is working in the background. He doesn't even know it, but I'm getting alerts saying something's not right here. I may call him and say, hey, computer running, it's kind of slow. He doesn't know what's going on. He's pumping out a virus trying to. So we monitor the health of the machines, trying to catch things before they become a problem. And that's crucial because in that scenario, that virus, first thing it's going to try to do is spread itself throughout your whole network. If I can catch that before it does that, you just save the company a lot of money by not screwing up everybody's computer on the network. And then, obviously it's going to try to get out and send itself outside the network, and then it starts affecting lots of people. But that's an example of monitoring the computer. Then with that same software, and just so you know, anybody that we do this with these clients, we have a managed services team at our data center that's monitoring all this. So they're watching all these alerts, all of our servers, workstations. It also allows us to do all the patching and updating on the machine. So all your Windows updates, things like Adobe and Flash and whatever that are constantly saying, hey, there's an update, you need to install it. That most people go, I'm too busy, I'll do that later. Those are usually, especially the security ones, things you should be doing. Like as soon as those come out, they need to be installed and applied, and that's what keeps you out of trouble. So our team gets those all the time. We run a script 4 times a day to check all those companies for updates. And when they get them, they test them. As long as they don't blow anything up, then they push them out to all of our clients. So it's all being done automated now, and I don't have to go out. Used to do it like once a month, go to every client. I need to interrupt you. I got to get on your machine and do the Windows updates. And so it's all automated. It doesn't interrupt anybody, and your machines are always up to date and patched. So that's kind of the basic level of our Nerd Care, just keeping that done, up to date and patched. The next level is we have a help desk. So we have nerds, people that are doing nothing but working the help desk, taking that initial call for help. Because again, we're out and about all over the place. So if you call me today and say, hey, trying to do something in Word. I don't know how to do it, or it's not working. You know, more than likely, I'm at a client. I can't return that call quickly in 5 minutes. It may be an hour, maybe 4 hours before I get back to you. Our help desk is there to answer those questions very quickly. Excuse me. So they're there for that intermediate 5 to 10 minute. Let me see if I can help you right now. If I can't, I create a trouble ticket. I escalate it to the local nerd, and they can set up a time to come on site and help you with that. So that's kind of our intermediate level. You're getting all the monitoring and patching, and we're adding the help desk 24/7, someone live there to talk to you. And then the third step is kind of our unlimited package, where all that's included, but then we add the on-site service too. So let's just say computer crashed, the hard drive's bad, the help desk is determined, yep, you need somebody out there, you're going to have to order a new hard drive. They escalate that to us, we come out and take care of that, and that's all covered in one flat fee. So if you didn't have that, then at that point that would be billable time that we would come on site to do the billing. So our unlimited kind of all-you-can-eat package that we call it takes care of all that stuff. Anything that happens with the computers, you just need a new user added to the server, or you're moving a machine. I got the scenario right now where the company's doing some remodeling. We've got to take all the computers out, set them up temporarily in another room. I mean, that's all covered under one flat rate fee. So that's NerdCare. That's kind of what our version of managed services is, where we're your outsourced IT department. That's it for my portion of this today, and I'm going to just open it up to somebody hit the lights and just any questions you have on this. I did want to touch base real quickly, like you mentioned, old hardware. And I wanted to talk a little bit about like the age of the life cycle. When I was back in the days of building my own computers, and I've still got computers I built 15 years ago that work. I actually was surprised to see one company still using one. I'm not sure what they use it for, but the hardware still works. These days, over the last 5 years, that's just changed dramatically. They've kind of come to the conclusion that it doesn't make sense to build stuff the last 5 years when the software changes so fast. The operating systems now, you see new Windows coming out every 2 or 3 years. So they now, by design, make these things last. The consumer grade stuff, 2 years, maybe 3, if you're lucky. Commercial stuff, like the Dell business class stuff, is going to last you 3, maybe 4 years. And people kind of look at me funny and like, no, I don't really believe that, but I'm telling you, in the last couple of years, it's almost like clockwork. The thing expires, your warranty's up, you should replace it, let it ride. 2 months later, hard drive died, or the motherboard died. And so our whole thing is to understand that has changed. The life cycle is short. Plan for it, and get a 30-year warranty if you buy new equipment, and then plan on replacing it when that warranty's up, because it will not last. I can just all but guarantee you. And the real problem with that is, again, going back to that downtime. If you're going to replace it every 3 years, yeah, that's a bit of a pain. It's a lot better to do it when it's convenient for you than it is, I'm going to wait another year and 2 months later, at the worst time possible, you're doing payroll or whatever it is, and the thing dies. Now you're back to making stupid decisions again. I got to run out and get a computer. I need it right now. This thing's dead, so I'm going to go buy something off the shelf that's now consumer grade, and you're back into that vicious cycle of not planning and letting that stuff happen to you. So there was a study just recently. I won't bore you with who did it and whatever, but if you want, I got a copy of it here. Basically, it says businesses stand to save a whopping 52% in PC support costs with new PCs compared to supporting and maintaining a 4-year-old system. So in year 4, the support costs are higher than the cost of a new desktop. Those aren't my words. I'm just telling you my experience is that that's true. You keep it more than 3 years, it's just going to cost you more money. Another separate one did a study on notebooks, saying keeping a notebook an additional 2 years. So into year 4 and 5, actually costs $960 per machine, which is pretty much what a new laptop costs. So again, you're thinking, I'm saving you money. We're going to get another year out of these. And I just smile and go, okay. My experience tells me that's not a good move, and it's going to cost you more money in the long run. But and I hate that told you so thing, but it happens all the time. you're better off to replace it. Donate it to somebody and get new equipment. And here's the big one. It's not just that, but it's the support costs for that same period, year 4 and 5 on a laptop, will cost an organization. So if you kept all your laptops that you have in your company, and this is an average, for year 4 and 5, they estimate the support cost would be about $9,600 over those 2 years in lost productivity and repairs and things like that. So it just doesn't make sense. And again, this is just kind of backing up my opinion, but it's not just my opinion. So with that said, basically, again, if anybody has questions, and especially with our company, how you get started, I mean, it's just simple. Give me a phone call. We'll sit down and talk, see if it sounds good to you, and go from there with the three steps. So any questions for me or any of these guys?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
We went to Connect Tech. I've always wondered this back many years ago at the SN.
Yep.
They just disappeared. What happened to that?
Well, that was part of Automation Alley.
And I know they still contact me.
And they still do it, I believe. I think they've changed the name or whatever, but there wasn't enough support here. Basically what happened is the people that ran it here locally just weren't getting any help, and it was kind of like, you know, you had 3 or 4 people doing everything, and they tried to get new members, but they couldn't get people to actually do the work and help organize the meetings and do the stuff, so they finally just said, yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm a great example of that, because they kept saying, you know, get on the board and help me. I'd love to. I don't have time. And there was that scenario played out over and over, and they finally just went. So I don't know. Do you know? I'm sure they still do it. I think there's Connect Tech chapters, or I think they
started a new
reformed, right?
in Flint, and they're supposed to be starting up here the last I talked to the guy.
So it'll be separate from Animation Alley, because they don't know anything else.
Yeah.
Animation
Yeah.
Alley in Troy. Yeah.
I think they kind of got it started, and that was really its own separate entity, but they kind of, I don't know if they had grant money or whatever to get it going, but yeah, that's unfortunate. I thought that was a good group, and the sessions they did at SN, we did a few of them the last couple times. It was good. Yeah. Well, and that's kind of one of the things, like, you know, I know this isn't anything related, but kind of the reason why, you know, for us, again, being more involved in sales and stuff now, it's like, how do you get the message out? Like, we get the stuff all the time. Hey, there's a great product that businesses should have, you know?
That's very difficult.
Yeah. Well, and it's like our next session is going to be, I can announce that now, it's going to be February 12th, same time, same place, same idea. We're going to be talking about UTMs. Anybody know what a UTM is? You ever heard that term, UTM? Stands for Unified Threat Management. And it is by far, hands down, this is my opinion, but you can ask them, the best investment any business can make, the best piece of IT equipment, I think, ever, is a UTM. It's a little server. It goes in right after your internet connection, so it sits in between the internet and your network. It's a router. It's a firewall. It does 8 different things: antivirus, spyware, hacking, phishing, all these different things. So it's like the traffic cop that sits in between your network and the internet. And they're not cheap, but they're not terribly expensive. Typically the ones we do, generally with all the bells and whistles, about $3 grand to put it in, and that's a 3-year piece of equipment. Huge. I mean, everything from John and I have them at our house. I don't know if you guys have them in yet, but you know, it's kind of a big investment to put in your house. But I swear by them, because I've not had a virus, I've not had spyware, I've not had anything for 5 years since hearing about these. So this is a 5-year-old technology that no one knows about. So for us, it's like, well, how do I bang on your door and say, you really need to listen to me, I have something that could save you so much money, and people are just, So our thing is, let's give away our knowledge. Let's educate people if they're willing to come and hear about it. You know.
And it would be cheaper as more people bought it.
Yeah.
Technology,
And it does. It is already.
So
So, and I would just ask companies, okay, if you're using any other IT company and you don't know what a UTM is, you need to go ask them, what is a UTM? And if they can't explain it to you, please call me. Because they're not keeping up with.
One company make them, or is this?
No, there's lots of them.
Is this a standard?
Yeah, I mean there's many. Most of them are built on Linux servers because they're so much less prone to problems. We've got our own that we kind of brand and build now that we offer. They're just every business should have one, and so I mean, you know, and to try to tell people the first thing, oh, you're just trying to sell me something. Well, yes, I am, but I'm trying to sell you something so I don't have to come in and fix problems. I'd rather have you pay up front for something that's going to avoid problems, and this is probably why most people don't know about it, because your IT guy that makes his money off your problems doesn't want you to have one of these. Okay, he wants you to get the virus so he can charge you to come in and clean up the mess. So that's why we're doing this series, so we can just get the word out on what's out there. I mean, I don't care if you buy it from me or somebody else, but you should have a UTM in your business. The chamber has one here. It's right in that closet. So it does other things. It filters websites so you can predict where can they go. They can't by default. They can't go to gambling sites and pornography and shopping sites if you want. You can block Facebook if you want. You can dial it in to do whatever you want it to do. You can give different people access to different things. It's a wonderful tool that everybody needs. Just don't know it yet. So that's our biggest challenge, is how do we get what's available, what's out there, out to people. So with that said, I'm looking to partner up with other people to be able to leverage what we're doing here. So I was telling her with not this tool we're using today, we're using GoToMeeting just because we got a couple nerds sitting there watching us today. But we have another product that we use for meetings that can have up to 16 people, which could be 16 different chambers of commerce, all sitting in a room like you are, watching the same presentation. So we're working on how do we leverage that, and how do we do a bigger job. That particular one's called Zoom. It's free. It's just like a Skype or like a GoToMeeting thing, but I don't know the technologically wizardry of it, but it does an awesome job of having, 16 people with video cameras, not just audio, but video in the conversation. Excuse me, we used it the last session, so if you go to the Chamber's website and watch any of the videos that we posted, you'll see when I'm talking, the camera switches to me and I'm up on the screen. If someone in Indiana jumped in on the conversation, the camera now switches to them and you see whoever's talking in Indiana up on the screen. And somehow they get that, so it works fairly well. There's very little delay, and if you ever use Skype with multiple people, you know what frustrating it is. It's like talking and you get all this jerky, things freeze up all the time. So it's a great product for that. We use that quite a bit for our meetings worldwide. We started using it. We do a meeting every Friday morning with all of our guys here in the U.S., and we use that now instead of just use chat software where we're just talking like walkie-talkie. And now we're all on video, so we can see each other and communicate a little better. So it's a great product. So just to let you know, please spread the word that we're doing these seminars. Be watching the Chamber's website and their newsletters and try to get the word out to more people. And again, we'll love to talk to you about getting the two guys over there involved. And this is all we need them to do, is really help you get people in the room and help with the setup. All they need is a laptop with a webcam, and they can be part of these. So, and we're going to be doing that with our other nerds around the world. So anybody that, there's a lot of guys that are technical and they don't want to stand up and do this, and I'm just trying to learn how to do a little better job being a presenter. So if they want to join in and say, hey, you do the presenting stuff and you do the talk, and maybe they'll give me a topic they want to discuss and get their people, their clients in the room. So anyway, that's kind of what we're up to. Next month, Mr. Lessig is up. Look at the color of his face right now. It matches his shirt. See, this is what I love, because I'm picking on him. I'm kind of teasing him, but we're nerds. Well, this is not our forte, is getting up here talking in front of people. So
just check the chamber site for?
Yep, Chamber's website, it'll be up. If you got your pencil, it's February 12th, so it's going to be a Tuesday next month. We're kind of bounce every month between a Tuesday and Thursday just to mix it up, but it's February 12th, 11:45, and we'll be talking about UTMs. And I really appreciate any feedback you can give. I think Vicki will send out a little email asking for some feedback. You know, what works, what, if you'd like. Last time I had kind of some handouts. This time I didn't do that. So we're not perfect. We're just looking at how can we make it better and more useful. So that's it for today. I thank you for coming. Appreciate it. I'll give you a card if anybody does have any questions, so you know how to get a hold of me these days. Good to see you again. Glad to hear things are going well.
Yeah, see you again.
All right.